Hello, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, January 7th, 2026, and we have us a new episode, new year upon us of Unveiled Vibrations. Welcome. I am your host, TD McCollum, and we're going to get things started. Buckle up, hold on tight. We got a lot to go through. And we are here. Yeah, baby. We are here. Once again, I'd like to welcome y'all in. It is Unveiled Vibrations. Time to have the conversation. Saying the things that need to be talked about that aren't talked about. Whew. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that we're in a new year. We think that we would be upon a fresh start on a lot of things, but it seems there has been a tad bit of energy from 2025 to spill over into the new year when it when it comes to politics. Um, we can say it's new things, but it's the same thing going on yet again. Foolishness from within the White House and its entire brigade. Let us light it up. And get everything going with the conversation. I would like to say hello to a few people that's in the comments and allow them to know that I see you and I appreciate you being here. Tonight we have the lovely, my brother, JoJo Speaks is in the house. He says, hey, Tyron. Hey to you, brother. And I appreciate this right here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, people. That's how you keep up with me and know that I am live and in color. This is how you know that I have a new video posted as well. I appreciate that, brother. We have Dustin Butler. Welcome in, brother. Happy New Year to you. And JoJo Speak says hello to Dustin. I appreciate y'all showing each other love down there, man. It is wonderful to see that being spread. It is absolutely wonderful seeing that being spread. All right. So, not even a full week into 2024. I mean, good Lord. I want to go backwards. I want to go back. Take me back. 2026. Not even a couple days in 2026. Here comes the tomfoolery. On Saturday, January 3rd, approximately 2 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, some post Christmas packages were dropped off in our neighbors at south of the border, known as Venezuela. And during this demonstration of dropping of packages that explode, um, their president was apprehended and airlifted out of there as if they were someone that had fell into a medical emergency or something. And this administration says they did it because of the dangers to the United States that the Venezuelans pose. And to pick up on that beautiful area that they possess over there, and they brought him to a ship in the Caribbean and then flew him to New York along with his wife. And my Lord, next thing we know, they're standing in front of a judge being charged on drug charges and all kinds of stuff that this administration has slapped them with. In addition to that, there has been all kinds of things to come out afterwards, as it always do. And I'll just simply like put it like this: whatever don't come out in the wash definitely comes out in the rinse, and we have been seeing the rinse cycle do its thing. Um, some of the things that have come up were statements from everybody, um, and it is absolutely just unimaginable the things that have been said. At first, it was about the fentanyl pills that were supposedly coming out of there, and then it morphed into, oh no, it's they're controlling too much oil, and we don't like that. So now we got to fix it. I don't know if you guys were paying attention about a week ago or two. I was talking about this video that came out of these shamans. And the shamans were like, hey, I'm sorry, but I got to tell y'all this. Yeah, the dude down there in Venezuela, he won't be in power no more. And he gonna be taken out. And then they was talking about President Kankles getting taken out. I'm actually gonna revisit that post in a second here because it's a lot that was said in that. And I want people to understand that that video came out before the end of 2025. So it is a bit prophetic in nature. And whatnot. And boy, oh boy, it deserves to be noted as such. All right. Here we go. Man, hold on. I got a lot of technology working around here. See here, Peruvian shamans predicted Trump's illness in 2026. That's only a portion of it. There's a whole nother portion of this in which these guys state that there is going to be more calamity coming. And honestly, I wanted to say they were puffing smoke with it. Right? Because, you know, we had a whole lot of people in 2025 predict the end of the world. They were predicting the rapture coming, and they were predicting President Kankles having his moment of rapture himself. And none of that came to pass. But one thing we did have come to pass for sure is the tomfoolery of everything else. You had the vicious attack on Christmas Day of our African nation, Nigeria, and all. And it was just like, hey, man, enough is enough, man. Why are you doing this? And the real reason why turned out to be they were afraid of the Epstein files. The Epstein files were getting too big for them. And they were like, hey, we need something to shut it down. And if we don't get a hold of this story, these folks, they're going to be on us. And so they ran out here. First thing, top of the year, we got to do something big. We're going to drop some packages. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to do. We're going to drop some packages. Excuse me. Ooh. Must obey my thirst. No Sprite. And it was just like, oh my gosh. It's just mind blowing that this administration just does whatever they want to without consequence. And it has been posing more problems for us, the American people, than we actually are being aware of. These shamans, they took to the beach, performed some rituals, and stated that President Maduro was going to be defeated and fall. And I ultimately believe Donald Trump saw this as his opportunity to insert himself into the situation and fulfill a prophecy. Um, is absolutely most unfortunate that they decided to do the bombing that they did because 80 people lost their lives during that. And, you know, the US government is known for saying, oh, well, oh, hell, they're just casualties of war. It's war. And so they, with this being emboldening them, being able to go in there in the middle of the night and snatch and grab the president of Venezuela, they feel as if they can do anything and there's nothing they can do wrong until somebody clap back on them. And of course, there has been a couple of people recently to come out and state that, you know, France is like, hey, we're not down with you doing all this. UK has come back and said, we're not down with this. This ain't right. Put them back. Canada says, put them back. Colombia said, take them back. Even the vice president of Venezuela said, hey, 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 can't do that. Bring him back here. And I know Pete has that. Marco Rubio, Donald Trump said, no, we're going to do what we want. And because we got the might of the U.S. Army and all the military branches behind us, who going to check me boo is their attitude right now. And that is a problem because basically, who is going to check them? Because the only way that you can remedy this is to come on U.S. soil. And if anyone decides to come on to U.S. soil, well, just know it was already warm in the kitchen. It's going to get extra hot in that kitchen. And just know that the whole house is going to burn down because they don't care. They don't care who gets harmed in the melee. It is completely obvious. And unfortunately, like tonight, I was just in this headspace of I don't know where to begin because my God, there has been so much stuff to happen. Like to see the real footage of what actually happened, to see it, it is actually our worst fears come true. And I mean, they were sending full blown military helicopters and assaulting a whole sovereign nation. And for what? For their resources. It lets us know that this nation doesn't care about people. They just care about their placement on the totem pole of hierarchy of power and control over everything, money, resources, etc. And as our buddy pals Dustin always said, we got to stay prayed up in all of this. And that's all we can do is pray for the world in all of this. Because at some point, all of this becomes too much and it becomes overwhelming. We get overstimulated and frustrated because there's no real change to counteract this. You have a Congress that is led by their counterparts in the Republican Party. You have virtually, I'll say, a spineless Democratic Party that won't do anything because they're like, we don't have any real power to do anything. So there's nothing we can do. And frankly, I'm over it. I'm absolutely over it. I feel like checking out, but because checking out from reality doesn't negate reality from being seen and heard, you know? And to know the simple fact that these guys are bold enough to say the real quiet parts out loud that, yeah, this was about the oil because they shouldn't have all control over it. And then the funny parts is like going back in history, seeing videos by Dave Chappelle resurface are absolutely hilarious. Where back during the Bush administration, they were circulating and I'm gonna share that with you right quick for those that did not watch the Chappelle show back in the day. This is hilarious.
Interested in the Middle East for oil.
What? Huh? Oil? Who said something about oil? You cooking?
What about people who say you're only interested in the Middle East for oil?
What? Huh? Oil? Who said something about oil? You cooking?
What about people?
It makes you like realize, although this is satire, the reality was when they went into Iraq in the early 2000s, it was about getting those resources to the oil because they were holding I'll say our US government stated that they were holding the oil hostage and charging us more. And because of the hike of the price, our price here at home went up. And to combat that, they were like, we're going to go in there and take control of it. And part of it was like, well, they got weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, over there. And we need to disarm them. And that was the excuse to go over there and do it. The same playbook happened to be utilized with this. And the way they rolled it out, you gotta look at it. It was so hilariously rolled out because It started off with naming a narcotic a weapon of mass destruction. A narcotic that has no affiliation with the country of Venezuela in the first place. There's not one lick of it coming out of that country. They're more known for the cocoa than that. And here we go. They built up this case of, well, we got to go in there and get him because he's destroying Americans with this stuff. Now here we are. A whole president taken from his native land. And you know what's crazy? This is the only nation on the earth that can get away with it. That's the crazy part. Because everybody else that will buck against that system, nah, they wouldn't do it. Because it's immoral. It's a violation of every type of peace treaty there is. And unfortunately, this is where we are. We're in a dictatorship. It's hard to rattle it off the mouth, but once you do it, it comes very fluid. And a lot of people at one point were thinking that George W. Bush was a dictator. No, what we have now is a dictator. And absolutely, we have to understand that he's willing to do anything, and including risking American lives. I want to skip ahead to a lot of things tonight because I don't know where to fully stop because these boys are so insane that they're willing to do their research on how things are going on Twitter.
His Obama photo in the Situation Room. This is what they just released on X. Trump sitting with Tweedledee, Tweedledum, and whoever the fuck. And this is after the fact that they were dropping BOMBS on Venezuela. And I know he looks like he's really locked into his COD game for a second. This is actually him sitting here on his little lappy top, pulling up X.
To me, Pete Hegseth in this video and photo looks like he's playing a video game or old school battleship. And he's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to sink that ship. Meanwhile, they're back there watching the trends of topics on Twitter as real-time information for them. And y'all remember at one time where Twitter was going to be banned by the government because of how fast information was being filtered out to the American people? It was so fast that they couldn't keep up with it. There was more information coming to the American people on that platform than it was to them. And guess what? That same attitude just went over to TikTok. And they thought about banning TikTok because they had no control over how quick information was getting out and how to control the narrative of that information getting out. And I'll let her explain the rest of all what was going on here.
And the search bar says Venezuela. He wants to know what everybody's talking about after they just did this. And they're not even in the Situation Room. I think they're in the dining room. Those chairs are from the dining room. This is such a ridiculous, unserious thing. You're dropping bombs on a sovereign nation. And let me do a side note right here. You can think Maduro's a piece of shit, just like I do. But you can also say that this guy has no jurisdiction to just go kaboom places without congressional approval. You can't just pick and choose which dictators you're going to go after, because I doubt the next two people on his list are going to be Poo-Poo and Netanyahu. This administration...
She said a lot right there. Because even his buddy old pal, Putin, was like, put him back. Put Maduro back. I don't care. You gone too far. And they're like, no, we did the right thing. The thing that they did was create a big enough distraction so we have nothing else but to talk about this versus talking about the Epstein files. And to know that that is their gameplay. As more and more things come out about this Epstein thing and his involvement and proximity to it and other people's proximity to it begin to drop, this man will do anything to get us to not talk about that. And the sad thing is, it actually worked. It worked so good that you got people stuck in the Caribbean until Thursday, tomorrow, this week, because y'all shut down the airspace from domestic flights going in or out the Caribbean. The entire Caribbean? Y'all won't believe me. Y'all gotta see it. I got a video for you. This young lady tell her story.
That we get to the airport, okay, a couple hours early, just because, to find out that because this orange clown decided to invade Venezuela and steal their president and his wife, that there are no flights out of St. Thomas potentially until next Thursday.
St. Thomas is miles from Venezuela. Just thought y'all should know.
Thursday, the 8th, okay? I am sick to my stomach. And I'm gonna miss the damn game that I already paid for club level seats for. Just, I'm gonna woosah, okay?
People thought it was funny. There are people out here that laughed that this has happened. It ain't funny. These are people with real lives that can't get home because of a decision made that they didn't care at all. And the reality is they won't ever care. That's the reality. Why should they care? Because we the people are not holding them accountable for whatever they did. And the reason why we're not holding them accountable is because there is no body to check that power. You'll have people to talk out about it, speak out about it, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. But she recently resigned from Congress.
I'm happy for the people of Venezuela to be liberated, but Americans celebrated the liberation of the Iraqi people after Saddam Hussein. They celebrated the liberation of the Libyan people after Gaddafi. And this is the same Washington playbook that we are so sick and tired of, that doesn't serve the American people, but actually serves the big corporations, the banks, and the oil executives. And so my pushback here is on the Trump administration that campaigned on Make America Great Again, that we thought was putting America first. I want to see domestic policy be the priority that helps Americans afford life after 4 disastrous years of the Biden administration. I want to see domestic policies that prioritizes jobs and affordable housing for Americans after 4 disastrous years of the Biden administration. And I want to see domestic priorities that put Americans first in regards of health care. Health insurance costs too much, car insurance, home insurance. And these are issues that matter to Americans. We don't consider Venezuela our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is right here in the 50 United States, not in the Southern Hemisphere.
Well, let me ask you, because,
you know, I hear you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I hear you. Here's my problem with this. You got out the fight because the pot got too hot for you. And you felt like you had no sail in your propellers to even take flight. You had no wind. You had nothing to stand on. And you got out the fight. The problem with you leaving Congress is, what were you there for in the first place? Because when you went up there on some BS in the first place. And when things started affecting you at home, you decided, nah, I had enough of playing with y'all. I'm just going to go home now. What about the American people that you promised that you were going to fight for? What about them? Well, it doesn't matter now because you retired. You resigned. You decided to leave when the tough got going. And your true colors started to show, like, you wanted to further your career. And Donald Trump told you no. And so you said, I'll take my ball and go home. Okay. Well, you can sit on the couch right next to everybody else. But guess what? Ain't nobody going to sit next to you. Because you lost touch with reality. You lost touch with the real reason why you were sent to Washington to represent the people of Georgia. I'm certainly glad that you're not my representative here in Georgia. Because I would have, if I saw you, I would have let you have it. I would have told you to your face how bad you were. I'm willing to have that conversation with you because there is a level of accountability that must be put in place. And you enabled this guy that is occupying 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. You enabled him to enact all of this because you had no spine. You lost your soul. Well, what you gained was a whole lot of money from what we discovered in 2025, the whole time that you were up there. You got millions being in office. Hey, it is what it is. We got the lovely Miss Kim in the house tonight, y'all. Hey, welcome. I appreciate you being here tonight, Miss Kim. JoJo Speak says, hey to Miss Kim. And JoJo Speak says, I wonder if these things would be happening if the Supreme Court didn't give all presidents immunity. Here's the thing about this immunity thing. They're not totally immune. I say that again. They're not totally immune. Because there's still things that oversight committees could report and adjudicate upon. Because Congress can hold their whole entire hearing themselves and convict themselves. They can do this because you being the president still have to answer to the people. Now, the judicial branch, unfortunately, answers to the executive branch and the legislative branch. And what's so funny about it is without the other two branches, there'll just be people sitting in a room. That's all they would be, glorified people sitting in a room. Without Congress writing laws, they wouldn't have anything to judge on. They wouldn't have anything to bicker and fuss about. Without the executive branch signing off on it and pushing it across the nation through regions. Judicial branch wouldn't have nothing to do. That's what's so beautiful about the American government. Everything is connected. And it's supposed to be a balance of power, not this whole filibuster of we can do whatever we want. But when you have people that only side with things because they get their palms greased along the way, this is what you end up with. You end up with absolute chaos. Why is it chaos, TD? Why do you think it's chaos, TD? Because imagine if a group of boys is going around knocking over everybody's trash can and they're being escorted by the police while they do it. And they come in your neighborhood, knock over your trash can, spilling all your trash all over the place. Who do you go to complain about it to? Can't go to the police. Police is hanging with them, watching them and laughing and joking with them. And you say, oh, well, I'll circumvent that. I'll go to my local mayor about it. And the mayor's like, pick up the trash. It's your trash. Wait a minute, mayor. You not gonna tell the police to tell them to stop? Anarchy. Complete chaos. It becomes a lot more problematic when your neighbor is like, I don't care. They knocked over your trash. I didn't put my trash out this week, so that's your problem. Just imagine where things get really twisted in that, where that person that says it's not my problem, it then becomes this whole targeting situation that we have right now. What am I talking about? I'm talking about as recent as this week, Donald Trump's out there targeting blue states again, stopping funding for these people to feed children. And why? Because I can get away with it. I can do whatever I want. Who's going to check me? I'll send my ICE agencies to those states and have them terrorize everybody there in search of illegal immigrants. And it's so unfortunate. Today, somebody lost their life because of these thugs being emboldened by the highest office of the land. And it's like, well, what are we supposed to do about it? Huh? Who's going to stop them? And of course, you know, you can have somebody say, hey, get out of here. We don't want you here. Well, if you got the person at the highest level, it's like the teacher in a classroom encouraging the bullying on the playground. And when you go to that teacher, they're like, so stand up for yourself. But then the moment when you decide to stand up for yourself, they want to bring the whole might of the school system down on you. What do you do about it? The only thing that you can do is fight and pray and fight and pray. That's all we can do about it. I'm speed rapping through a lot of this stuff because I'm sick of it. There has to be a point in which we realize this administration and its leadership has gone too far. But of course, you know, people don't believe it until they have to see it. I praise this gentleman that I'm about to bring up now. Premi, say it for the people and lay it out plain
Game of the day, name that country, where you have to name that country. I am your host, Preemy Sterling, and the rules are simple. I'm going to lay out a scenario for you, and all you got to do is let me know what country it happened to. Ready to play? I hope so. First question. Question number 1. Which country preserved control over their land or natural resource till the U.S. decided to label their leader a threat, overthrew their government, and made sure that they had access to that natural resource or land? Is the answer Iran, Guatemala, Chile, or Venezuela?
If you're here in the comments and here on a replay and you reach this point in the video, let's interact with this video here from Preemy. Name which one of these that these people in our leaders of the free world, which one of these countries have they targeted? If you know, drop it in the comments. The results will surprise you. Preemy, please take it away.
If you answered Iran, you would be correct. If you didn't answer Iran, don't worry. You'll get another chance. Next question.
What?
Question number 2. Which country preserved the control over their land or natural resource until the U.S. decided to label their leader a threat, overthrew their government, and made sure they had access to that land or natural resource? Is the answer Iran, Guatemala, Chile, or Venezuela? If you said Guatemala...
Wait. These are the same? Nah, I'm going to let you cook.
Guatemala, the answer is correct. If you didn't say Guatemala, don't worry. You'll get another chance. Next question. Question number 3. Which country preserved control over their land or natural resource until the U.S. decided to label their leader a threat, overthrew their government, and made sure they had access to that land or natural resource? Is the answer Iran, Guatemala, Chile, or Venezuela? If you answer Chile, that would be correct. If you didn't answer Chile, are you still confused?
I'm a bit confused because you done named 2 countries out of the 4 countries. And that's another one? Let me let you cook some more.
Don't worry. Next question. Okay, final round. Final question, but not the final answer. Question number 4.
So they did this to 3 countries. But there's another round. Okay,
Which country preserved control over their land or natural resource till the U.S. decided to label their leader a threat, overthrew their government, and made sure they had access to that land or natural resource? Is it Iran, Guatemala, Chile, or Venezuela? If you answered Venezuela, that would be correct. Actually, if you answered Iran, Guatemala, Chile, Venezuela, Congo, Haiti, that would all be correct, and so on and so on. That's multiple countries, multiple decades, same question, same answers. Well, I hope you had fun, and thank you for playing Name That Country. I'm your host, Preemy Sterling, and in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day. You know I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. But if I don't, stay out of trouble.
Well, damn. Well, damn. I say, thank you for enlightening us, Mr. Preemy. You can find him on Instagram. He is absolutely hilarious. and very informative out here in these streets. If you weren't aware, yes, Miss Kim got the answer right. All of them. Every last one of them. The amount of destruction that this nation, supposed Christian-led nation, has done. Things that make you say, I didn't mean to skip over this one, but I'm going to go back to it. Ms. Kim says to JoJo Speaks, I liked the remaining former presidents to test that immunity. I have a feeling that immunity was only for Cankles. Yeah, so President Cankles, aka the Orange Man at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, was trying to set himself up so that he won't get prosecuted and convicted. Because the things that they have planned to do and have done are so egregious that you have no choice but to convict, because they had no business doing it in the first place. But because there is untapped potential and unchecked of powers in the executive branch, they can virtually do whatever they want right now. Until Congress, y'all gotta get a spine and do something about it. And President Cankles was like, hey, y'all better win this fall or I'm going to get impeached. And if I get impeached, well, that when he kind of hush up, because his plans is like, if I'm going down, I'm taking everybody down with me. And I'm like, sir, y'all, no, we can't allow this. We cannot. Because the moment that we allow this and continue to allow it, people come out the shadows and begin to act in weird ways and say crazy things. Like this next post here. There's a pastor out here that opened his mouth and said, God said, take the oil. God said, take the oil? For real? Y'all don't believe me.
East Venezuela for the oil. Yes, this is true that there is that which has been brought to the forefront of this earthly battle. But the enemy has sought and was seeking to bring war and to bring conflict through Venezuela and to control the oil of the earth. But the spiritual oil And the natural oil does not belong to the forces of darkness or to those who thought that they could bring a one world order. This is my reset. And the oil of the natural and the oil of the spirit is mine, says the Lord. They say you have...
No, the Lord ain't say this. The Lord ain't in none of that you're saying. That is you trying to align yourself with what you believe is the winning side. Align yourself with the quote unquote populist view of things. And the problem that we have here is you got a congregation full of people that are hearing this. And when they're hearing this, there's no one that's checking you because they've been indoctrinated into your way. And to know that this is how MAGA Christians that's such an oxymoron. Is a contradiction in that whole phrase, MAGA Christians. You uphold one thing to tear down another and say you do it in the name of this. The craziest thing ever. For him to say that the natural oil and the holy oil is God's, and then twist it in such a way that they're one and the same in the way he's talking about it, and then knowing that they're two different things. One is the creation and one is touched, anointed, empowered by God. And the other is cultivated for profit. And it's sad that you're trying to bring those worlds together to justify what is going on. And to know that you'll probably be the same person to justify the unaliving of the black church if it happened. Well, they must have did something. You can't tell me you pro-life, MAGA. You can't tell me that you are here for God and say that. You can't. I'm here to tell you you can't, because it's not. They don't go together. But you keep trying to put them together because it's something that you like. It's something that is a part of your upbringing. Somewhere that you've been indoctrinated with. And you're trying to justify holding on to it just as they justified lynching and trying to hold on to it. Welcome, J. Star Bright. Appreciate you for joining us tonight. She says hello to myself, Miss Kim, Dustin, and JoJo Speaks. And she says, this is total foolishness. It bothers me how performative some churches have gotten. Absolutely. Hold it 1 second. Because I'm gonna go there too. I was trying to figure out how I was going to introduce some of this, but in the news recently, Pastor Jamal Bryant and his wife have been going all through it. All kinds of madness have come on. All kinds of stuff have been said about them. And we want to quote the Bible on he that finds a wife finds a good thing, right? And we want to quote the Bible of a godly woman is being a virtue and all that blah, 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 blah. Okay. But we skip over what happened. The part that and I'm paraphrasing this, what happens in that man's house is in that man's house. And it should not be none of your business. Let these folk live. She put on a dress that to some people, it made them clutch their pearls because they're like, a first lady going out like that? Oh my God. Some of the problems that I have with the church is when culture around them changes, they are stuck in a pattern of the past until it is accepted by one that is amongst them, that is an elder of sort, that's happens to say it's okay. You know, at one time, wearing these big fancy hats for the first ladies was taboo for the church. But you wouldn't know it because the culture changed for the church. The only thing that these women could wear back in the day were turbans and shawls over their head. There was no such thing as wearing a big poofy hat of design and colors and all this stuff. There wasn't none of that. No. When you went to church at some point back in the day, you could only wear white. All of that had changed because culture changed. And what's so bad about it is when somebody does something that makes them feel good outside of the church is looking at it because, oh, well, you were a part of the church. You shouldn't be doing this. Where are these same voices when there are other atrocities in the midst? They're silent. That's where they are. And why are they silent? Because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they have to make stuff up. And in that, they trick themselves into believing their beliefs and justification is right because they come back to you with doctrine of why they're right. And totally ignore everything else doctrine because I got it right here. I see it right here. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about somebody specific. Bishop Patrick Woody didn't agree with Pastor Jamal Bryant and his wife and the decisions that they made for themselves and their household. And why? Why?
The other day, and I guess you call that a flesh-colored dress. I don't know.
He says he don't know. So somebody probably fed you this, and you went with it instead of having the wisdom to research, or even as an elder, you could have reached out to Pastor Jamal Bryant and had the conversation directly with him and got a little more understanding of what transpired. But you didn't do it that way.
It's black dress and flesh color. It gives the illusion that she's not wearing anything underneath. And I heard the preacher when he defended her dress by saying, first of all, he bought the dress. And then he said, I want to address people who don't know anything, who haven't been anywhere, who don't know nothing. So I guess our objection to a man of the cloth presenting his wife in public looking like a $2 whore. Two, at least two.
Why she got to be a $2 whore to you, sir? That tells me the limits to your knowledge of fashion. As you wear this nice suit that you probably bought from Men's Warehouse, had it adjusted to your size, to your liking. You probably picked out a nice fancy car to drive around town in too, right? Well, we're not allowed to talk about that stuff there, the way that you're talking about this woman and this man, right? Right, Bishop? We're not allowed to go there. How there has been many stories about what you have done in the past, and we'll leave it in the past. Because it's the past. You've grown from it. You've become a better man from it, right? These are allegations. I'm only going off of what I've heard. Like you're going off of what you heard about these two people.
Now, I didn't say she was. I'm not talking about her. My statement is not about her. My statement is about him. I said he presented his wife, and he said he bought.
That's deflective because you are talking about her when you're talking about him, as you talk about her, about what he said about her. But you talk about on your pulpit about gossip and all that stuff, right? But here you are, gossiping. Right, Bishop? Why? Why should it matter? He is not in your church. And if the people of your church were focused on what you're teaching, they wouldn't even see this stuff. They wouldn't be affected by this stuff because your teachings would have kept them far away from this. Right, Bishop? But you brought it right back into the church house, right? It's worldly things, right? We shouldn't be a part of that, right? But yet here you are bringing the world to the church. And what is the teachable message in this, really? This, what you're doing is your version of what you believe a rebuke is. How about you do a video with what you and your wife wear and what you picked out from your wife, Bishop?
The dress. Those are his words, not mine. There is nothing classy about that. There's nothing modest about that. He said we haven't been anywhere. What I would like to know is where have you been? Where did he go? So I'll make sure that I never go there.
I hope you never go there, too. I really do. Because clearly you're not a fit to go anywhere. Not in one bit. You're not fit. I'm borderline when it's saying that you're too old to do anything that these young folks are doing. Why should you care? Why do you care?
Because I don't want to go anywhere and I come back with that kind of a notion. Now, I will say this, and this is a comment about my wife, not his wife. This is a comment about my wife. Two, my wife wouldn't have done it, no matter what I said.
And you know why she wouldn't have done it? Because it wasn't a part of her culture, upbringing. It's not a part of her current circumstances. That's why she wouldn't have done it. It is about her preference and your preference according to the customs that you are a part of. Jamal Bryant and his wife, they're from a different generation than you are. Of course, they're not going to dress like you. They're not going to think like you. They're not going to go to the same places that you go to. But yet still you have something to say about it. And to hear that your congregation is cheering for it, when knowing that some of them have done this. They may have been delivered from it. They may not be delivered from it. Many of them may still do it to this day. And they not tell you because you don't go where they go.
She just would have said, honey, I'll wear this for you. I'll wear this for you at home when we know the grandkids aren't coming.
That's what grown folks do. They do things for each other. Now, the decision to do it at home only is a grown folk decision. Just like these two grown folk made a decision to go out on the town with themselves as one, not one plus the bishop. Right? So what does it matter to you, Bishop? You're in a whole nother state. You're not at his church. You don't have to see them. In fact, you could have just kept scrolling. You could have just, hey, well, that's their business. Right, Bishop?
Because there is such a thing as decency. Decency.
The thing about decency, Bishop, it is totally up to the interpretation of the person. Decency is so personal in this case. Ms. Kim says, I don't think the dress was very flattering on her. Everything isn't for everybody. That's Ms. Kim's opinion. Guess what? Everybody's entitled to opinion, including you, Bishop. You're entitled to your opinion. But then when you try to make a sermon about it, as if you're higher and mightier than thou, now you subject yourself to judgment as well. The whole thing of when you point the finger at somebody, there's always a finger pointing back at you. JoJo Speak says, it's definitely a generational thing. People of your generation will wear hats, sir. The gentlemen will wear hats. And yes, of course, they would take it off when they would enter a building. They will always, at some point, wear shirts and ties and full suits, no matter the weather, because it made them look and appear decent. To whom? Who were they doing that for? They weren't doing it for themselves. They didn't make them feel good. They did it to fit in to a set culture of a time period. And as things evolve culturally, we move from wearing trousers to wearing jeans and overalls to shorts to not wearing a shirt and only wearing pants. And to know that there were people frowning upon that when that change of time came. You included.
y'all don't like me. But
It's not a matter of people not liking you, Bishop. We can still like you as a person. We just don't have to like what you said and how you said it and the context in which you put it. Because it wasn't decent in your eyes.
in public, at an event where everyone will see, I don't know of a greater way for a man to demean his wife. And if he doesn't think that that is demeaning her, there is something wrong with him. But then again, we're also talking about the guy who looked at Cam Newton's legs and told Cam he had pretty legs. My wife wouldn't have done it. Yeah, see, so
Bishop, you trying to tell me you ain't never tell a gentleman, man, your arms look so good. You been working out. You ain't never say that to anybody, Bishop. You ain't never tell somebody that their haircut looks so good and pristine. I like that cut. I like what you did there. You ain't never tell somebody, Bishop, that they got pretty feet. You ain't never say none of that, Bishop. Don't lie to the people, Bishop. In all your years of being on the earth, you ain't never did this. Not once. Surely. We know you have.
yeah, see, so
To say, yeah, see, so means like you are saying that it's a matter of fact. And because he said this, that justifies his way of doing things this way. And it's the wrong way. And what you're insinuating in front of your people is don't be like this. Be like me. Because I am greater than everybody. I have found the master way of being. I have crafted my life as being the way and the truth in life. Right. Sure you have, Bishop. I'm sure you have. And you know what's so great about it? I love the times of our day because you get to tell your story the way that you want to tell your story. And at the end of the day, people like Bishop Wooden don't get to dictate the final outcome of your story. You do.
Out before you walked out to go to the event about the dress and that it might create a stir.
People have said, oh, she knew it would get this reaction. My ego is not that big. Wow. I don't dress for people. I dress for myself and for my husband. I am a wife. Yeah. I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I have a doctorate, I'm a professor. There are plenty of things that I do. And the challenge is we often want to see a woman be one-dimensional. I am multi-dimensional. I carry multiple titles. Now, what you choose to call me on whatever day is fine for whatever that might be. But I think that there is this idea that a woman can only be one thing. And once I happen to marry a pastor, I happen to fall in love with a man who is a pastor, right? And so with that came the title of First Lady. But there is no book for that. There is no manual for.
Bishop, I know what you would say to that statement. There's no book for that. You're going to say, well, you need to read your Bible because the Bible tell you this and the Bible tell you that. The Bible doesn't have every answer. God does. And to know that this woman of God definitely went to her God and asked the question, is this right for me? And the answer came back, it is so. She didn't check with your God, Bishop. And I know this is how you would paint the narrative that your God is higher than their God and different from your God, knowing that it is all same one God. I'll let her continue to cook.
What that looks like. And I have decided that the title does not define me. I define what the title is.
Just as if, Bishop, we know that you have defined your title as being bishop, as which you define bishopness to be. The office of bishop is, according to Patrick Wooden, and this is why you function and act the way that you do about everything that you see on social media. You act this way about Beyonce and Church Girl song, and wanted to come down on the Clarks because of them being with Beyonce, because you're saying she's an unholy person when Beyonce is an absolute holy person. She loves God, has reverence for God in her heart, prays to God. But you let social media tell you otherwise, and because she's not singing the gospel and in somebody's church every Sunday morning and paying her tithes, those are things that you don't see, sir. And you don't know what another person's walk is until you walk with them. Or in some cases, help them up onto their feet so they can walk the good walk again. But people like you like to point. And when you're pointing the way that you do and talking the way you do about these people, they're being put down by you instead of uplifted. How bishop like you are in that sense, I guess. Miss Kim says they weren't even at a church function, right? If she wore that to the church house, then I'd kind of be understanding this discourse. Absolutely. JoJo Speaks echoes this. It wasn't a church even, Miss Kim. It was a gala related to HBCUs. Now this part here, JoJo Speaks says that Cam Newton comment sounded like a jab at the gays to me. For those that don't know, Bishop Wooden has on many occasions stated his feelings towards the LGBT community in a negative sense. He tried to clean it up a few times a year where over the years, where he's like, well, leave them people alone. Let them people do what they. Nah, buddy. We see you for who you are. Yeah, I ain't saying that you supposedly trying to reclaim souls for the kingdom. You don't do it that way. You don't. No matter how you interpret the Bible. To say God is love and Jesus is love, and then to segregate that love from a set of people because of what was stated in the Old Testament. That's your tradition that you choose to follow. Knowing that Jesus came here and reset it all to still have that traditional mindset. That lets me know that you'll hold on to that until how many of you would say, tell King Jesus come down and strike me on the head and pick me up and twist me around and put me back on solid ground and point me in the right direction. All right. Maybe it will take that divine intervention to show you that God's love supersedes all of that you're holding on to. Ms. Kim says, thanks for the clarity, Jonathan. The dress, although cheap looking, was perfect for a gala. Let's put this issue to rest. Absolutely. I would love for this issue to be put to rest on the fact that Pastor Jamal Bryant and his wife did a thing for them, not for the church. They did it for them. And let it be left at that. Amen. Because it is madness. Absolute madness. That's how y'all feel as a church. But y'all are totally silent when y'all see these other pastors out here talking like they are about politics of how it is right for us to go steal and pillage a whole nother country for their resources, or for people to be snatched away from their cars and from their place of employment, their residence, even a courthouse, as foreign people in the land, and say, "Oh, y'all got to go. Y'all silent on that." For somebody to get shot in their head, y'all silent on that. But you lied on this. It's quite interesting to me. I think I'll round things off on more church stuff. Virtuous woman in my eyes. Yes, she has her flaws because she's human. She's not above us as a god or goddess. Miss Erica Campbell has some words of wisdom to leave us all with. I came across this post yesterday and it struck a chord with me. And I wanted to share it with you guys as I end this show tonight.
Explain my yes, don't ask me to explain my no.
That's right. That's right.
You can say no because you have the right to say no. And don't let the enemy, because God doesn't work that way. God doesn't beat you up. If he is not.
Let me start this over.
Explain my yes, don't ask me to explain my no.
That's right. That's right.
You can.
She said, plain and simple. If you don't want me to explain my yes, don't expect me to explain my no.
Say no because you have the right to say no. And don't let the enemy, because God doesn't work that way. God doesn't beat you up. If he is not a God who condemns, if you give an answer and you immediately condemn yourself, well, what are they? God doesn't work like that. Heaven doesn't speak that language. That's someone else's language. And so when you learn those things that make you feel bad, feel shame, they're going to think I'm better. That is not God talking. And so you can reject that squatter and kick that squatter out, because that thought is in your mind that you feel bad. Sometimes you feel bad because you're the blessed one. I know I spent years doing everything for everybody. And I'll say, oh, I'll get it back. Oh, I'm blessed. I'll get it back. And the Holy Spirit said, are you playing God in their life? Sometimes what they're going through is what they're supposed to be going through. And the enemy will manipulate you because you can stop their trial when they're supposed to learn, and then you keep helping. But he shamed you into helping. It wasn't the Holy Spirit led. You feel bad for helping. That ain't God. When you have a genuine joy, oh, I'm excited about helping. But when you helping and you feel bad, you got to go, what's going on in me that I need to check? That it's always coming from, oh, well, I don't want them to think, they going to think I don't look. That's not God. He don't work like that. And I tell people, if you don't ask me to explain my yes, don't ask me to explain my no.
That's right. That's right.
You can say no because you have the right to say no. And don't let the enemy, because God doesn't work that way. God doesn't beat you up. If he is not a God who condemns, if you give an answer and you immediately condemn yourself, well, what are they? God doesn't work like that. Heaven doesn't speak that language. That's someone else's language. And so when you learn those things that make you feel bad, feel shame, they're going to think I'm better. That is not God talking. And so you can reject that squatter and kick that squatter out, because that thought is in your mind that you feel bad. Sometimes you feel bad because you're the blessed one. I know I spent years doing everything for everybody. And I'll say, oh, I'll get it back. Oh, I'm blessed. I'll get it back. And the Holy Spirit said, are you playing God in their life? Sometimes what they're going through is what they're supposed to be going through. And the enemy will manipulate you because you can stop their trial when they're supposed to learn, and then you keep helping. But he shamed you into helping. It wasn't the Holy Spirit led. You feel bad for helping. That ain't God. When you have a genuine joy, oh, I'm excited about helping. But when you helping and you feel bad, you got to go, what's going on in me that I need to check? That it's always coming from, oh, well, I don't want them to think, they going to think I don't look. That's not God. He don't work like that.
In 2026, I truly believe we all are turning a new leaf. And it's about protecting ourselves. And we have gone through such a season in which we have overextended ourselves to the point that we exhausted everything about us. And at this point, we need to take an emergency break from everything to reassess how we are approaching things in life. And 2026, to me, feels like a year of focusing inward, self-care, self-love, being a bit selfish with our time, our energy, and not feeling bad for it. It's okay because you're not their superhero anymore. It's okay that you're not the rescue ranger to them anymore. You're not their dark winged duck. Superwoman. It's okay because what the heavens are saying is you have done enough. And for me to get you prepared to go to the next level and what I need you to do, we need you to focus on you and self-care, being aware of where you are is what you need to do. I've dropped the link for those of you that wish to come up and talk with me about some of the things I posted or bring up some of the topics that you have seen, and we'll have the conversation. While I'm doing that, I'm going to get my parting shots out the way as y'all enter the green room. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me on Instagram at Mr. TD McCollum, as well as TikTok. Most of the time I'm on Instagram, where I like to scroll and repost the things I see happening throughout the day. And you can DM me something that you see as well. All it takes is a quick follow and boom, you got me. You can find my music. It's out there. It's on Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, Deezer, Pandora, and so many places. You can catch me right here every Wednesday at 8:30-ish. I'm going to say that. I try to get here 8:30 sharp, but sometimes I might be a few minutes behind because of technology and setup and everything like that. Or I might be in the middle of stuffing my face or finalizing my touches on the end of the show. And you can catch me Saturday mornings right here on Faithful Warrior Ministries on YouTube. We're going to come together. We're going to read a devotional and pray. And pray. If you decide that you want to donate a little bit to your boy here so we can keep this platform going and growing, you can do so by hitting me up on CashApp, Mr. TD McCollum on CashApp, $ Mr. TD McCollum. And if you want to hit me directly, you can hit me on my email address at mrtdmccollum@gmail.com. And ladies and gentlemen, in my green room tonight, I have Miss Kim. Hey, how you doing, Miss Kim?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How you been?
I've been okay. Very busy at work. I'm trying to cram a whole bunch of projects into like 3.5 work days because I'm taking Friday off.
Ooh.
I haven't been paying much attention to what's been going on.
Mhm.
Like the family stuff going on, but after I finished working today, I was like, oh, I haven't, heard anything on the news because I had a lot of calls today. Quite a few meetings. So I did a quick little scan on Threads and I saw a video of some people screaming at these ICE agents. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? I didn't see the video of the shooting. And I'm glad I didn't go looking for it. George Floyd was the last person I
Right.
saw being killed on camera, and I'm not, trying to see that.
Right.
Um, I don't even know from what I gather, the backstory is this woman was coming out of her house, and I don't know if there was, I don't, I didn't pay attention. I was just like, oh my God, they just killed somebody. And then I found out that she really didn't do anything.
Right.
And once I finished working today, I didn't go to investigate any more of the story. I have since the new year started, when I heard that that he had bombed Venezuela and kidnapped the president and the man's wife, and I am not extending any grace to Maduro. I know what type of monster he is,
Mm-hmm.
but there are ways to handle things in this country. And as far as I know, Venezuela was not an enemy of ours. If I'm wrong, correct me.
Right.
Um, and I just after that, I said, I can't keep focused on this. I can't keep watching this play out, however it's going to play out, because and then people are complaining about what's going on, and nothing is going to happen. I feel sorry for this woman who was killed. Will there be justice for her? I don't know. Will her family get anything other than an apology? If they get that, people voted for a convicted felon and they are shocked by his felonious ways. People voted for a convicted felon. They gave him the House. They gave him the Senate. He stacked the courts his first time in office. And now everybody is, oh my God, I can't believe this is what America's come to. This is what America has always been. You just gave the right to rule to a convict and a criminal and a pervert. So I have just taken the approach of I can't be consumed by this anymore. There will be no accountability for him. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know if I have faith in the midterms coming up in November.
Right. I
You
totally
muted.
understand. No, I'm here. I hear you, and I totally understand.
I can't hear you.
You can't. That's weird. Hang on 1 second. Can you hear me now? Um. So, Miss Kim, I did
still can't hear you.
I did get that story, and the young lady that was unalived by ICE today was actually a legal representative for one of the people they were trying to detain. And unfortunately, while they were trying to get out of ICE way, ICE took it upon themselves to take things further and uh, make an example out of her. And the way this administration is trying to paint the narrative as if she was the aggressor, which she wasn't, because this particular ICE agent actually was up on her window as she was trying to pull away while releasing these weapons onto her. And unfortunately, she lost her life. It is absolutely upsetting because these ICE agents have been empowered by the bullyingness spirit of the White House. And with this happening the way it did, and the voice of the White House coming to their backs, it lets me know that there's more that's going to come from this. We're going to have more situations of this nature happening. Up next, I have in the green room, Mr. Dustin Butler. Hey, Dustin, how you doing, buddy? I think you're on mute right now. Hey, Dustin, how you doing, buddy? Oh, you'll have to unmute on
I'm
your.
gonna log off because I can't hear you guys.
Okay, you can come back if you need to, Miss Kev. Miss Kev, if you need to come back, you can come back up. I'll bring you back up. Dustin, I'm not sure if you can hear me as well.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay,
Welcome up, man. Welcome. How you doing? And
I'm
Happy
doing
New
good.
Year to you.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Sorry, I dropped my headphones on the bottom, so I had to pick them up. Sorry about that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What have you seen, or what was it that I presented tonight that you wanted to speak on?
Basically, a lot of it opened my eyes tonight, especially what happened on Saturday. I think that a lot of this stuff that's been going on has been in the works for a while now. I think it's just kind of weird that we're starting to see it come out in bunches like we did last week.
Right.
As you guys know, I brought the story about Ashley Banfield last week, and I think it's kind of weird to all this to happen after this. All this to happen after her firing. And I'm not saying there's any difference of that, but that's not a coincidence to me, Tyrone. I think there's something tied to that. To be honest, I think this was all planned. I think this was all planned. It's all my opinion. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it was my opinion, but I don't think there was a coincidence to this. I think he had it all planned out, and I hope that I pray for the people of Venezuela for the better, and whatever's going to happen. But I think things happen for a reason,
Right.
and I think that Ashley Banfield getting let go had something to do with that part. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I believe everything is connected, and what was so intriguing about this Venezuela thing that recently came back up. Uh, Venezuela had been mentioned more than 200 times in Project 2025.
Correct.
And finding that out on the back end of things is like, whoa, you guys have been really planning this out for such a long time, as you said.
Right.
And now everything's starting to trickle out and come together. The small things, the little nuance of things like the change of guard at certain news outlets and the forward, quote unquote, forward news anchoring of CBS being on the side of the Trump administration and their reporting is something that has been coming up lately now too. It's like, oh well, now they're starting to be more favorable, and the stories that they're crafting are starting to get away from what is actually going on. And now we're in this space of, all right, who can we trust to give us the legit news on what's going on out here?
I
Because
don't know who to trust, to be honest with you. I don't.
we're in this space of where they're trying to craft the story in the way that they want, basically rewrite history is what everyone is saying is this administration has been trying to do. And we're in this weird space of like, all right, how far are y'all going to go with this? And the problem is there is no limit as long as they're unchecked, as long as no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said earlier,
same way. I feel the same way. I don't know what's gonna happen to the future,
right?
And I don't know what's gonna happen in the present. To be honest, I was hoping that we could start off 2026 in a different light, but apparently, some of the stuff in 2025 is going to spill over to the new year. It already has, Tyrone, and I don't want to see. I don't want to. I don't want to say that it's going to get better because I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I think that it's the early start of all of this. To be honest with you, I think that the next 4 years, or to the next election, the mid elections in 2026, is going to be an eye opener. Yeah, I don't know how anybody else feels, but that's how I feel. I feel like that we need to stay prayed up, like I always been saying on here with you, and I will always continue to say this on here, because this is how I feel. Because I don't think that everybody, I think that everybody is open, is I need to open their eyes, Tyrone, and I know you have, and I have as well, and everybody on this live hopefully has opened their eyes. If not, they need to, because this is getting to be very scary to me as well. And I'm saying this out of concern for people, because like I said last week, it could come to any one of us as well. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I'm starting to feel like the months of January and February and March are codas, meaning a tag attachment to 2025.
Right.
And how we normally would talk about it astrologically, the new year isn't until really April, the end of March, April, as we talk about the season of Aries, the beginning of the spring is the new year, as life reborns out of the depth of winter. And there had been a lot of death in the year 2025. Like there has been a lot of low moments, and the way they deliberately kept on adding on to the fire towards the end of the year of 2025, you can't help have it spill over.
Right.
Unless you decide to go in a complete different direction. And knowing that there was a plan in place all along and they're just trying to run the playbook like the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're having some success with this. Well, they could go all the way with it, hopefully there's somebody that will come along with a better team that's more equipped to foil those plans.
Right.
And we're in this world of back and forth banter between everybody about what is allowed to happen. We are in a time that we have never experienced before. And being in these times where it's totally hard to understand how these things can happen.
Right.
Now, the part that we can govern is ourselves in all of this. And we're like, okay, well, as long as I keep myself contained, I should be fine. In general nature, that's how it is. But like we've been talking here about, is a lot of this has been trickling into our front yards and in our backyards. And it's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to, well, I'm just going to go to bed and wake up the next day. Oh, everything's fine again. Or are we going to step outside and actually take part in what's going on and be a helping hand to righting the course in which we have gone the wrong way?
At this point, we have to be. At this point, I feel. At this point, I feel like. Go ahead.
I am feeling that majority of people, seeing that they have never seen these things happen in their lifetime, they're for it. Unfortunately, because you're like, man, I ain't think you would ever do that. Man, that's wild to see.
Mm-hmm.
And they encourage it. Instead of, hey, man, that ain't cool because that ain't normal.
Correct.
And when we normalize these things, now we're in this space of, well, that wasn't too bad. Like, them going in and taking the president alive. Everybody's like, oh, that's not bad. They killed Saddam Hussein. It's like, well, whoa, wait a second. He's still in our custody. That is still on the table, right? No, they'll just lock him up for a very long time. It's like, no. It don't work that way. It hasn't worked that way.
Yeah.
And the only way that we, thus far, from the evidence that we have, what we've seen is this. This administration, as long as you pay the price, they're willing to lick their hands off of whatever.
And like you said last week, Tyrone, this is a time where this is a time where these companies pay to play. Is that right? Mm-hmm. You said pay to play. last week,
Yeah.
and
Play the
this is,
play.
and I hope it's okay if I hope it's okay if I said that again, because this is how I feel tonight with the word.
It is so funny that you mentioned it, pay to play. Like this whole circumstance of the voter fraud and election tampering and interference, that charges were brought up against Donald Trump here in Georgia. Well, since the lead prosecutor on that was removed from it and another prosecutor was assigned to it, and then that prosecutor decided to dismiss the charges, now there's talks of reimbursement of legal fees to Donald Trump from that.
Right.
And they're talking about millions of dollars. And who's paying for that? That is the very people of the state of Georgia that will be paying for that.
Correct.
Out of what? Their tax dollars. That is 200. That's so much money that is leaving the state of Georgia. And the people of Georgia have nothing to say about it. As one of their representatives decides to up and quit on them. I'm talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. For those that know.
Yes, yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, yeah. And for her to have the nerve to say what she said on that the show, after she left, that's the red flag. Why did you
even do this?
Why did you even do this? Yeah. I wasn't gonna bring up Marjorie Taylor Greene, but since you brought it up, I'm gonna say how I feel about it. Why did you even do the interview? Because you're not a part of it no more. So stay out of it. How about that?
It's like, go back to your cottage in the woods of Georgia.
Yeah.
Enjoy your family as we watch the entire world burn.
As we watch the whole entire world fall apart. I just feel like we're just falling apart and piece by piece.
And you know, what's so interesting is to see someone like Bernie Sanders come out and be so vocal, and to see him standing by himself on this and his stance on things. It lets me know where the Democratic Party is.
Yeah.
They're non-existent.
Correct.
And they're just trying to hold on to the established image that we're still here. We're here for the good fight. We're here for the people. And it's like, no, you're not.
Nope.
Because y'all would have put up a much bigger fight than you did. Well, we don't have the numbers. And it's like, yeah. When these Republicans didn't have the numbers, they put up a huge fight. And y'all bent over.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well.
Yeah.
I can't blame Donald Trump for saying that they're spineless, they're weak. I can't blame them in that.
I don't blame him for that part.
Because the evidence is there.
Right.
Now we can say the same thing for the Republican Party, because you're allowing this guy to do everything that he wishes. And then the question is like, what does he have on y'all? But then we're seeing people that are now starting to separate themselves. There were a few others to resign over the weekend.
Who were? I didn't see that. Who?
There were some Republicans. There's a Republican from I want to say it was West Coast, like Nevada or something, that resigned. There's another one. A couple of them passed away, and one is in the hospital ill right now. And so now there's more seats coming available as far as House of Representatives on the Republican side, and Democrats are
Getting their hands warm.
Getting their hands warm over there, and they're like, "Hold on
Yeah.
now, whoa! What you gonna do with that seat? Then you just gonna sit there, or you actually gonna do something?" Well, we're cooking up something on. It's like, oh no. I don't know if I totally trust that.
I don't trust it
because when November 2026 comes around, if those votes don't go, if things don't go the way that they ought to go, that will be the telltale sign of where we are as a nation. Because
I think it's going to, I'm going to put something out there, Tyrone. I think it's going to go back to Democrat. I hope it does.
I feel like it's going to go back to Democrat, but I also feel like when they're in power, their focus isn't going to be on fixing the wrongs.
Right.
It's going to be retaliation.
Correct.
And they're going to take so long to implement that plan that time is going to expire.
Right.
And then you're going to be like, whoa, it's nothing we can do. And it's like, well, why did you even give us this hope of that you're going to do something that you knew all along that you were going to let time run out? We can say that because that's legit what has happened with the affordable health care plan.
Right.
Y'all let time run out. Why? I don't know. Y'all thought that they would just bend over and come back to the table and talk with you guys? Not when they have a lunatic as their front runner and leader. And he says, don't do this because it's going to make me look bad. They're not going to do it because they're toting the party line. And you're like, well, we're so partisan. We're willing to work. They're not willing to work. They're only willing to do what is necessary to fuel their agenda.
Correct.
And their agenda is not for the people. It's themselves at the end of the day. As we see what plain as it can be with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Plain and simple. Plain and simple.
It was all about her personal agenda.
And like I told you earlier, she didn't even need to do the interview.
It's like, if you were leaving, you might as well have came and went as quiet as a field mouse can be. Because all this that you're barking on the way out is just noise. It's just noise.
I don't really care what she thinks because she's no longer in office. So, yeah.
Now, I know people have been focusing on Jasmine Crockett moving from House to Senate and watching and seeing what will happen with that. I personally feel there is a twist coming.
And what's that twist?
That these Republicans are working on a way to make her ineligible.
Oh, I hope not.
That's the twist that I see. And then she has no choice but to stay in the House. I don't wish that on her because I think she would be an outstanding senator. But
so do I.
We got to look at the times that we're in.
Correct.
And take it at face value instead of inserting our hopes and wishes and dreams of a perfect world, because this world is imperfect at its current iteration. On that note, I think I'll end this show. As the world turns.
As the world turns, yes. On that note, we will be back next week. Both of
I'll
us.
say this, man. Go ahead and give your social media shout outs.
My social media shout out to Dustin Butler 700. That's my Instagram, my Facebook with Dustin Butler. I want to thank Tyrone for always being here and having and welcoming me every week to be here. And thanks for being a part of my team, and I love you very much.
I love you too, brother.
Thank you for always being here.
I appreciate you being here too. And like always, people, I have to tell you this. If no one has told you that they out there love you, have love for you, have shown you and put into you the love that you have given to them, I got love for you.
I got love for you as well.
It is our pleasure over here on Vibrations to welcome you into the family.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. Amen. We will see you on next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday, everybody.
Same time, same place, and the same beautiful faces.
All right now. Peace.